Okay, so now we have Portisch against Fischer.
Yeah, they played in Santa Monica in '66, one of the strongest tournaments ever organized in United States. And Portisch was probably the best Hungarian player ever. I mean, he was a legendary grandmaster. He could beat most of the strongest grandmasters of the time. Later on he could beat also Karpov and so on. I mean, very, very strong player. And here he tried to show that white is a little bit better in the opening. Is one of the main lines from Nimzowitsch. The opening is called Nimzowitsch. If white plays the knight in c3 is Nimzowitsch. If white tries first knight f3 is Queen's Indian. This is the difference. Okay, so here, bishop takes c3, takes, and d5. All right, and from here, white tries to show that he can have some better tactical chances, but it's risky for both, And black played castle, of course, and here, if white didn't want too much, he had to take in d5 instead of e4 immediately. After e4 is very sharp, very tactical. He could take immediately in d5, and it's okay. It's complicated, probably an even game. I mean, the alternative, instead of e4, takes in d5, takes in d5, he can take in d5, bishop takes a6, knight takes a6, queen e2, back, queen c8, castle, c5. Okay, it was probably, one of the main lines. And here, if he wants equality, white can have an even game by taking in c5, Now you can't take back with the queen because the knight is attacked. You have to take with the knight probably. And after the simple move c4 is more or less even the position. Black is okay. Black has a very good game. But it's very difficult to show that black is winning or something, It's okay. It's a complicated game. But if you compare with their game, what happened in their game, it's much less complicated. We'll see. So, Portisch took the chance and he played himself very quickly e4, trying to open completely the game, It's probably home analysis, I think, you see. So he took in e4, now he took in e4, knight takes, queen takes. Now, if you move, a normal move like knight d7 or c6, white is better because it has two bishops and some attacking chances, some initiative, But from here, black played a fantastic move, which is not too complicated, but you have to see, Queen d7. Now he gives the rook, but if you take later on in a8, you lose the queen for two rooks. And this is a problem. Who is better, white with two rooks or black with queen against two rooks, against two rooks?
Yeah.
So, the game continues almost forced. Now, he played bishop a3 to win a tempo, rook e8, now bishop d3 with another tempo, and f5, the best move, Now he forces a decision. You can move the queen back, but at least black didn't lose something, and he takes maybe the initiative with queen a4 or knight c6, knight a5. This is very easy to play for black, Instead, he accepted the complications and he took the in a8. And now, after queen takes a8, knight c6. Now you have to give the queen for two rooks, So queen takes and castle. And after castle, he plays immediately knight a5. All right, white has to do something very quickly here because if not, he loses simply the pawn from c4, So the best continuation, rook e1. Now they have the alternative in this position. I think Bobby took immediately in a4, but in c4.
Yes.
Here he could play even more complicated game by playing here is move by move, very interesting. He could play queen a4, queen a4, and a possible line was like this: bishop b4. Bishop takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight takes c4. Now, if he takes in a5, he's lost for white. After bishop takes d3. Yeah.
Yes.
And okay, knight takes and rook takes c6. And now, after rook takes c6, he has time to play some extra move. And the extra move is simply a5. Very strong, Now you have to move the bishop, but where? Only in e7, because otherwise the bishop is lost, So, okay, bishop e7. And now he has time to play knight d2, rook e1, and simply queen takes in a2. Okay, he took a pawn, and when you attack the knight, for instance, with bishop g5, he has time to put the knight in e4, and probably black is much better. But it was very complicated. Very, very complicated. So Bobby preferred to play the simple variation by taking immediately in c4, and we see it's good enough, very good, also for black. Black takes a pawn and has the initiative in the next moves, you see. And for Bobby, of course, is enough, you see. All right, so he took immediately in c4. Now you have to takes, now. And bishop c1. Okay. And very quickly, c5, initiative, Now, if you push, if he has time to push in d5, after e5, black is probably winning, Because you can't attack the pawns. The pawn from d5 is weak enough. And if you lose the pawn for nothing, then the position is lost already for white, You see the difference. The knight from c4 is fantastic, The knight is very, very strong. Finally, because of this knight, black will win. All right, so he took in c5. Well, sad but necessary probably, So he took, and now, okay, he tries to play something, tactically again, So very calmly, black is preparing, h6. And okay, rook e2.
But wasn't good to push?
No, if he took, then probably he had time to take immediately in e5 and f4. And if he has time to, to take back the piece, then black has some problems because he can't move very well, again. The queen alone doesn't win, you see. Mm-hmm. You need another piece to try to win.
Against the rooks.
Yeah, against the two rooks. And in this line, it's possible that white takes back the initiative, and therefore he has a very more complicated situation now. No, he played very well, h6. Now, after h6, he threatening later on the idea with e5, but he's threatening also the g5, possibility, He combines the two, So, okay, rook e2, the only move, g5. Now, of course, you have to move the bishop there, So queen d8, he takes the file, very simple. Now, he has control on the d file, and he threatens to come somewhere with the queen, in d5, d3, something like this. And he comes also with the king. The king in f7 will be very strong later on for any endgame. He prepares also any endgame. Is much better for black, So rook e. Okay, the only chance for white was to play like this. Something on the e file, to try to attack something on the e file. Yeah. Okay, h3 and f4. Now, decision. What can you do with white? You have to do something. Yeah. So, what did he play? King h2. He prepares this small idea with h4 later on to try to open a little bit the game. So, okay, Bobby centralizes the position. He plays first a6. You see everything on white square. Black, white has black bishop,
Yeah.
All right, so a6. He attracts, he tries to provoke a little bit, Rook e4 is a little bit active. But it's good for black, because now he can attack the rook, This is the idea. Queen d5. Now, finally, white has to play something, and he plays something tactical, h5. Now, after h4, decisive knight e3. You see? Why? Because the knight from e3 is very strong, and the rook from e4 is very bad, Now you have to give a rook against the knight, and then the endgame is completely winning for black, forced. So, okay, he took in e3. Takes and forced to take, of course, now. And now he has time to take in a2. Okay, he taken a 2. Here, you can resign. They were a little bit in time to say continue a few moves. So, rook f3 check, king e8. The pawn from a6 wins in any position, the free pawn. Bishop d7. It seems that white has something, but has nothing, Queen c4. Now you don't have time to take in g4. In h5, h6, it was immediately winning for black if he took in h6.
For white.
So, he has time to give one check in h4 with tempo, and then f4, and everything comes with tempo. So he took, and check, and king d6, d7, and rook a8, and king c6, and white resigned. Demonstration again. If you look at the position, you see, well, what happens here, But it happened because the difference was like this. Very strong grandmaster, and the strongest ever, Bobby Fischer. Well, he was young enough, but, From 66, from this year, everything is happening, That was his best time, his best period. From 66 to 72, when he won the championship, the World Championship in Reykjavik. Here, he was already considered unofficial champion of the world, starting from 66, And he could prove it later on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
Yeah.